The first things her eyes picked up when the beam of her flash lit the total darkness of the alcove were flecks of white where nothing white should be. She let the flash roam over the broken walls, reflect from the black surface of the seep-fed pool below them. Then she moved the beam back to that incongruous reflection. It was exactly what she had feared. Bones. Bones scattered everywhere. "Oh, shit," said Eleanor Friedman Burnell, who almost never used expletives. "Shit, shit, shit." Someone had been digging. Someone had been looting. A pot hunter, a thief of time. Someone had gotten here first. She focused on the nearest white, a human shoulder bone. A child's. It lay atop a pile of loose earth just outside a place where the wall had fallen. The excavation was in the hump of earth that had been this community's trash heap, the common place for burials and the first place experienced pot hunters dug. But the hole here was small. She felt better. Perhaps not much damage had been done. The digging looked fresh. Perhaps what she was hunting would still be here. She explored with the flash, looking for other signs of digging. She found none. Nor was there any sign of looting elsewhere. She shined the light into the single hole dug in the midden pile. It reflected off stones, a scattering of potsherds mixed with earth and what seemed to be more human bones, part of a foot, she thought, and a vertebra. Beside the pit on a slab of sandstone, 4 lower jaws had been placed in a neat row, 3 adult, 1 not much beyond infancy. She frowned at the arrangement, raised her eyebrows, considered, looked around her again. It hadn't rained. At least no rain had blown into this sheltered place since this digging had been done. But then, when had it rained? Not for weeks at Chaco, but Chaco was almost 200 miles east and south. The night was still. Behind her she heard the odd piping of the little frogs that seemed to thrive in this canyon wherever water collected. Leopard frogs, Eddie had called them. And she heard the whistle again. The night bird. Closer now. A half-dozen notes. She frowned. A bird? What else could it be? She had seen at least 3 kinds of lizards on her way from the river. A whiptail, and a big collared lizard, and another she couldn't identify. They were nocturnal. Did they make some sort of mating whistle? At the pool, her flashlight reflected scores of tiny points of light, the eyes of frogs. She stood watching them as they hopped, panicked by her huge presence, toward the safety of the black water. Then she frowned. Something was strange. Not 6 feet from where she stood, one of them had fallen back in mid-hop. Then she noticed another one, a half-dozen others. She squatted on her heels beside the frog, inspecting it, and then another, and another, and another. They were tethered. A whitish thread, perhaps a yucca fiber, had been tied around a back leg of each of these tiny black-green frogs and then to a twig stuck into the damp earth. Eleanor Friedman Burnell leaped to her feet, flashed the light frantically around the pool. Now she could see the scores of panicked frogs making those odd leaps that ended when a tether jerked them back to earth. For seconds her mind struggled to process this crazy, unnatural, irrational information. Who would... It would have to be a human act. It could have no sane purpose. When? How long could these frogs live just out of reach of the saving water? It was insane. Just then she heard the whistle again, just behind her. Not a night bird, no sort of reptile. It was a melody the Beatles had made popular. "Hey Jude," the words began. But Eleanor didn't recognize it. She was too terrified by the humped shape that was coming out of the moonlight into this pool of darkness.